Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hello again. I'm working a little bit with the lighting here, and this should be good enough. Oh, the sun was going down. I was going to pull that blind. I don't know if that's going to have an effect or not, but I got a little offset lighting here. Not that it really matters that much, but I didn't want to be sitting here in the dark. And I got the regular light on. Ho, ho, ho. So here we go. Here's another. It's been a little while. I don't know, a week or better. I was showing a bunch of that the AIM, American Indian Movement, Dennis Banks, and John Trudell, and some of the stuff they're working with on reality and truth, and then Dennis Banks, who was one of the originators of the American Indian Movement and Wounded Knee, and I think Trudell was at Wounded Knee too, if I'm not mistaken. Very dedicated people. Dennis Banks discovered this diabetes. He's 82 years old right now, I think, and I think in 2010 or 11 he found out he had diabetes. And before that, it's just like everybody, hadn't paid that much attention to it. He knew about it, and he knew it was a serious matter. But it's like anything, when it lands in our lap, then we look more and more and closer and closer. The more he looked, the more he saw, and come to realize that it's wiping out the Indian nations all across America and the whole entire North and South America, and to just a rampant degree. So he's tackled this. He's supposed to be having a motorcycle run here. It's supposed to have been originally August 11th, 2014, but then postponed to August 23rd, and then getting to Washington D.C. They're leaving Seattle on the 23rd of August 2014, and then San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So the 4 points, 16,000 miles or something. I think they're adding it up to, or maybe it's 8. I don't know. It seems like it's 16 though. And to draw attention, he's done the diabetes walk, longest walk. 2011, 2012, number 2, and then number 3 I think was 2013. And this year he decided to do a motorcycle. But I can't find any information, so I don't know if this thing is going to get blown into the wind, that the organizing and maybe the idea of motorcycles kind of threw a wrench in this deal. If they kept doing walks, maybe the people just kept coming, but now they don't know how to do the motorcycle thing, to make that much of an adjustment. And because there's not enough chatter on the web, and there's not enough postings on the websites that I've been able to find. But I got feelers out in several locations, so I'll let everybody know. I invited Dr. Wortman. I said, boy, if you want to get in on something, this is just down below Seattle. He's up in Vancouver, BC. So it's just a hop, skip, and a jump for him. And then a great experience. And here we are. Dennis Banks has been in this just for a few short years, but we've been in it for a long time. And some of us for 10 years or better, and some more than that. And he's taken on the whole thing. He's on to the basics real good, and he's done some studying with wild rice, and it's the difference between it and white rice or brown rice, and he's but he's a low fat, see, and he's not onto this the one we call the low carb high fat for the cure of diabetes, and which turns out to be more of a traditional diet the world over. And so I sent him a copy of Dr. Wortman's My Big Fat Diet. Should be there. He should have it by now. I ordered it Monday. If he hasn't got it today, Friday, Saturday, he'll have it by the first of the week, I'm sure. If it went out right away, he's already got it. This may be an eye-opener for him. And I'd like to see him and Dr. Wortman team up on this, and then get another study stateside. Dr. Wortman did on the Canadian, on the island there, that group of people, and that was wonderful. But now another one, and of course as the years and time goes on, we learn more and more and more, and So I think it'd be a great benefit, and then of course it'd be a great benefit to mankind. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or what your race, or because it goes across the board, even thin or skinny. People are as much at risk as the obese, although the obese more so. Dennis is doing kind of the traditional thing they're doing here of exercise, lots more exercise, and a much improved diet, and it's helped his numbers. They got where they blood test every day, for the diabetes to see where he's like 105 or something, and instead of like 400, which was going all the way into the diabetes. So Dennis Banks is onto it real good, but I think he will learn more, and we will learn from each other, and then the world can follow. And then Katie Couric, now that thing, you go to Amazon.com now, and you can pre-order Fed Up in 1995, and you get a 1-year subscription to a magazine, a health food magazine. And so that thing's coming down the pike. So it's all getting there. It's a matter of everybody getting on board. And of course, mine is a whole third dimension here. Everybody else is on the diabetes, the obesity, and the Alzheimer's and cancer and heart disease and some of the mental aspects. But mine is I stand alone. And that's going to be real interesting. Because everybody, Katie Couric and her whole bunch, and the American Indian Movement, Indian people, and Dr. J and his whole bunch, they're going to have to look at mine and see, well, if there isn't a third factor here that's just giant, and it really is a tell-all when it comes to the addiction factor that makes this thing so almost impossible to break. And of course, if we all knew the truth here, and it's turned out to be the truth, mine, theirs, ours, and everything else, everybody can't eat this appropriate diet, because we've all, with our 7 billion people and this whole mechanized food chain and farming process we've got, it's impossible. And then everything is the farm animals. We know there's all kinds of problems there too. So it's just a huge dilemma. And what we can do to attempt to make things better for these future generations, which is what everybody's in it for. Katie's in it for the next generations, and Dennis Banks and John Trudell and Dr. J and myself, and everybody's in it for the future generations. And of course, some of us will benefit to some extent. But we know that the generations ahead of us are just getting blasted, and if we didn't know, of course, and the bulk of the population doesn't, then they just go along like nothing's happening. But for those of us that know that we're handing them not just a can of worms, and not just a bombshell, and not just an atrocious inheritance in so many regards. And of course, I got the answers to this, why the human race had turned into such monsters, and took over all of the continents and all the different races of people, and it's the white people, of course, are the culprits here. In this span of time that we're looking at, and in the few thousand years span of time we're looking at, when we look at the big span of time, we're kind of all in this together. There's enough fault to go around. But that's not taking white man off the hook for everything that's occurring right now. Presently, everything is under control of the European Union, the United States, and Canada, and Israel, and and of course that includes Scandinavia, and then Russia has its place in there somewhere, and everybody's got their spot. But we know that we're the superpower. We're also the one that's pushing this diet and Coca-Cola on everybody, and this lifestyle, and this energy thing, where we're taking over the whole Middle East, and forcing our democracy and forcing our religion, and it's just a monster. And I'm saying that my contribution in this is, obviously, if it's the truth, and I know it is the truth, is it will help to do whatever we can do as groups and nations. But if what I'm saying, this whole democracy, capitalism, this whole taking over of other nations is all because we're stimulant driven to more and bigger and better, and we're also stimulated to cold-blooded cruelty and meanness and savagery. You know, they didn't just get to take over India and Africa and Australia and the Americas only one way, and it was just by brute force and just by just atrocious, you know, it's just beyond description. The monsters, you know, you get just think of 100,000 men drunk on whiskey and just slaughtering and killing. And if they don't slaughter and kill, they get their heads cut off. So they're slaughtering and killing for the kings and the generals and the leaders. And then it becomes something they want to do. Of course, they're stimulated, just like the leaders are stimulated, and all thinking that that's okay. That's how you do it. You know, you just these people are stupid and dumb. They don't even know shit. They don't have big guns like we do, and they don't have horses and swords, and they're not bloodthirsty. Well, we're bloodthirsty. We're going to take everything they got, and that's what we've done. That's what we're doing. That's what's happening in Israel right now, in Gaza, and that's what's happening in Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. That's what's happening in Russia and the Ukraine. And, you know, it's Christians and Muslims and non-Christians and believers and non-believers. But it's we're forcing this democracy, capitalism in the name of freedom. But when we say freedom, we got to throw capitalism in there with that, because that's the driving force here. Is our kings and our business, wealthy banks and Wall Street and insurance and all the big power brokers. They want to keep this thing going. They want to keep building resorts and ships and flying those airplanes and building houses and all the wonderful, what they consider to be great luxury, you know, Mercedes Benz and Bentleys and Volvos and Fords and Chevys and Cadillacs and, you know, just more and more and more and more and more, and all the clothes and shoes and tennis courts and golf courses and all the groomed roads and of course all this niceness, supposedly. And but we're not the only ones that are fucked up. You know, the Muslims are fucked up, and I personally think the Chinese and the Russians are far superior to what we are. And they got their share of problems. And we've all inherited this. And the Russians are stimulated out of their minds too. And the Russians are, and they'll go real crazy if you want them to, and put 100 million men on the line and go to war just like you can't believe. So will China. Of course, they're stimulated out of their minds too, and with the rice and the tea. And so it's global. And it's not just the Europeans kingdoms that are crazy and insane and will war and kill like you can't imagine. Everybody will that has the capability of doing it, and some will do it, and they'll do it with sticks and stones. And I don't bring India up too much. They're kind of what I consider to be backwards as far as the ability to man armies. Now the Muslims and the Arabs have as little as they have when they're fighting, but I don't know the whole. I don't have a grip on the India, why they're not a threat. I know that they would be a threat, and they did the Gandhi peace to get peace and to get their own controls back, and as to say that they will remain, but they got a population problem, of course, and they're all stimulated out of their minds. So don't think the Australians aren't stimulated out of their minds, or the Filipinos, or the any and all nations, every and all peoples. So it's alcohol, marijuana, it's speed, and it's sugar, and it's high fructose corn syrup, and it's wheat and milk and corn and honey and potatoes and rice and and the whole vegetable chain, and then all the oils and all of the nuts and all of the fruits and all of the vegetables, the entire planet Earth. So you got insanity, you go from this insanity to this insanity to that insanity to that insanity to that insanity to the whole world, and these with their religious beliefs and their gods, and this is how it is, and you convert or we'll kill you, and these ones you are convert or will kill you, and you are the enemy because you don't believe, and you're the enemy because you believe that way, and they're all natural instincts of turf and territory, but they're all exaggerated. And they're all not just exaggerated, they're exaggerated to the tune of 7 billion people with all these weapons and guns and bombs. And amongst all that, there's millions and billions of people that are wood and children and families that are just have wonderfully alive, just like the birds and the deers and the rabbits and all the creatures, and everything is alive, and the trees. So we're living, and if we would want to keep that going, and we would want more and more of that in all regards, in all areas, but we can't do it because we got all this insanity coming down from every direction, and it's just a matter of when and how much, and the twists and turns. But it's insanity replacing insanity. And I'm thinking that even though we can't change our diet overnight, we could reduce our caffeine and alcohol and nicotine. We can reduce all that, and a lot of that can be brought to zero. Other than that, as far as when you get into the wheats and the grains and the foods and the potatoes and the vegetables and trying to feed everybody all the way and get all the sugar and carbohydrates out of our systems, that's lots more difficult, if not totally impossible. And then there's not enough wildlife, and there's not enough domestic life to support all this. So it's a great big mess we're in. And I'm not trying to exaggerate it, and I'm not trying to minimize it. And all I'm going to want to do is get it on the table along with, and it cannot end up anywhere. And my personal presence and strength on the internet and in the webs and stuff regarding carbohydrates and sugars being stimulant drugs is going to have it's going to open some doors eventually, and find me wrong, totally 100% crackpot, wacko, I can be the total out there nutcase. That's not what I am, but what I'm saying is, if that was the conclusion of a lot of different groups of peoples that are able to see past these religions and these gods, and see past these democracy and capitalism, and we're so great that it's okay when we kill tens of thousands. They kill hundreds, we kill tens of thousands. They're horrible, we're great, And I don't know. I just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. I just wanted to do a tape, and I don't know. Hopefully it turned out okay. I don't think it's real long. And I'll try to be more specific here as things progress, but I just want to throw some of this stuff up. All right, thank you. I forgot to turn the fan off. I hope that thing isn't blowing loud. Darn it, I forgot to turn it off.